Hello there and good evening. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Cutter Martin here with your 8 p.m. edition of Atlanta News First Plus. Here, our goal is to stream the First Alert forecast, not only give you the latest update, track where it's raining now, where it is forecast to rain on through the evening and overnight tonight, but also to update you on the weekend forecast. We have two First Alert weather days. Of course, a First Alert weather day is just a day that has some sort of, slightly abnormal or changeable or impactful and disruptive weather that could have you adjusting your plans. This go around, Friday, a day to watch, Sunday, a day to watch. But even this evening, out ahead of the more widespread storm potential and eventually widespread light rains on Sunday, we are still tracking a little bit in the way of shower and thunderstorm activity. I want to remind you that while storms are isolated this evening, very few and far between, not all neighborhoods impacted. They have been on the stronger side. Lots of lightning and thunder. With a few of these, heavy rain, likely earlier some small hail in Carrollton and some gusty winds as well, just below severe limits. So still at the moment, and I'm checking, new data as it comes in, but still no warnings at this time. At least that was the case a couple of moments ago. Still not the case, that the National Weather Service watching these storms, much like we are. Storms remaining just below severe limits, nonetheless worthy of our attention. One of the reasons why we are here to give you a check of the First Alert forecast. You are looking from the top end of the perimeter, Georgia 400 at I-285 and Sandy Springs, and the distance there, that's going to be Buckhead. Beyond that, Midtown and downtown, and in the same direction, many miles, 20, 30 miles southwest of downtown. We do have a strong thunderstorm there, well to the south and west of the city of Atlanta. You can kind of see some of those billowing clouds there in the distance. That is actually this particular thunderstorm that we now have on screen for you right now. Thunderstorm is moving through Carroll County, far southern Haralson County, kind of right along the county line, and then northern Heard County. This is going to be the area that we're watching at least for the next hour to hour and a half. A few thunderstorms moving through the southwest metro. The risk of severe weather is low, but it's not quite zero. If a storm does become severe, looking at the possibility of some hail about, maybe pea size, penny size, dime size, below that quarter size. And, we give you these sizes, but do want to let you know that typically there are no dents and no real legitimate risk of even minor roof damage until you get to about the size of quarters, and the risk of hail that big or larger this evening, relatively low. Nonetheless, we're watching that potential for you. I think small hail, gusty winds, heavy rain, and lots of lightning. In fact, we can zoom down into this particular storm cell. Kind of a small little cluster of storms moving out of eastern Alabama. We were talking about this possibility all afternoon, saying that, hey, storms would be relatively hit or miss, but as we got into the late afternoon, the evening hours, they would develop and roll in from eastern Alabama. And sure enough, we are seeing that right now, kind of an erratic sort of storm movement here. Initially kind of a very clean eastward movement, but now we're starting to see these storms kind of pool and separate away from each other just a little bit, which is normal. As storms develop and evolve and organize, that structure will change, the movement will change a bit, and why it makes tracking, just a little bit more difficult. Do want to let you know again, within this particular cluster of storms, we can actually query or queue up how many lightning strikes there have been. There have been 40 lightning strikes. Of those 13 positive strikes. Those are those super, loud and bright cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. Negative strikes tend to be not quite as loud, but of course just as dangerous. 27 of those, and this is just within the past 15 to 30 minutes. So we've had pretty frequent lightning. Storm's still not severe. We'll kind of zoom down into the community level here. We will keep an eye on this southernmost storm to the northwest of Central Hatchie. Again, not severe, but we're watching it. Storm is moving in the general direction of Central Hatchie. It's already raining there right now, but rain is about to get heavier. That thunder and lightning will get louder, and this is perhaps the strongest storm of this cluster, though at the moment right now it's not severe. The risk of severe weather is low, but I don't want to just give you a flat-out zero and say that, to not pay attention at all. The risk is low, but something we'll be keeping an eye on. If a storm does become severe, the greatest threats, hail up to about the size of quarters, even more so than that, will be wind gusts up to about 58, 60 miles per hour. Enough to knock down some limbs and some trees, but right now we're not quite to that point. We're just below it. Up into Bowden, this is heading into Carrollton, central Carroll County. You've already had a storm impact Carrollton, likely earlier, within the past 30 to 45 minutes. Probably had some small hail in central Carrollton proper. Frequent lightning, gusty winds, and heavy rain. That was round 1. Now we're seeing another batch move in from western portions of the county. And I can actually track these here for you. So we talked about movement with these storms a little bit, tricky. But on their present heading, tracking them in a general kind of north and eastward movement. We'll go ahead and track them into the far west Douglas, South Fulton corridor there into the Carrollton community 821. It's 806 right now. Again, you've already had round number 1. This is the round number 2 timing for you. Abilene community 825, Banning 836, 838 Weichsburg, Villa Rica getting to the far west metro there 844, and Winston 853. Heavy rain, frequent lightning with any storm this evening. And a couple will push, strong limits. We're not officially outlooked for any severe weather. It's unlikely that we will have any widespread severe weather, but 1 or 2 storms could become strong to severe. And even if they're not, there'll be noisy, heavy rain with small hail and some breezy to gusty winds. State night forecast, if you happen to be waiting at the table at 8:07 p.m. and maybe you notice if you follow us on YouTube, one of the many places we're streaming right now that we're streaming and you happen to on your date, click on the stream. Good luck to you, but hey, at least you're getting the first alert forecast, and want to let you know that you probably will need to be alert to the possibility of some downpours moving in, especially West Metro, Southwest Metro, through dinner time, 9, 10 p.m., and then we're going to bring that chance of showers and rumbles, thunder and lightning down just a little bit as we get into the late evening, the early morning hours before ramping back up as we get into the morning commute tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow is a first alert weather day. As mentioned, I know we're tracking a couple storms this evening, but a greater risk of rain and thunder. Case in point, 6 a.m., 8 a.m., first alert, be alert to the possibility that heavy rain, lightning, and thunder could slow the morning drive. I don't think it's an all-out washout everywhere, but nonetheless, it's a Friday morning drive in Atlanta. Those can always be messy. You throw in rain and storms into the picture, even if it's not everywhere, and certainly could slow a few of the commutes, so something to keep an eye on. And we'll go through hour by hour here in just a moment. Coffee forecast, one of the things that could be impacted if Friday you normally treat yourself and you use that extra 10 to 15 minutes to duck into the coffee shop before getting back in the car and heading into the office. Might be a little bit harder to get those coffee runs in tomorrow. The rain may rob some of those extra minutes that you have tomorrow morning, and that's our job here, right? To just let you know when the weather could throw off your routine a little bit. And that's just one of a couple things we have going on tomorrow that could be impacted by the weather. Of course, temperature-wise, no issue in the morning. Many, especially inside I-285, the city of Atlanta, upper 60s to near 70. You're probably going to get out the door in short sleeves, light jacket at most, mid-60s outside of I-285. Upper 50s, not all that cool, but the coolest conditions up 985, Blairsville, higher elevation communities, Fannin County, Blue Ridge over to Clayton County, up in North Carolina, Clayton Community and Rabun County, White County, Union County, these areas, Lake Rabun, those spots a little cooler in the mid to upper 50s, and you too will have that chance of showers and a couple of thunderstorms out the door in the morning. All right, so let's start the clock here, 6 a.m., early risers, Blue Ridge, up in the mountains, Calhoun, down into the North Metro, favored for rain. Probably some embedded showers and a couple of thunderstorms in this setup. Again, just looking at the setup here, a few showers and thunderstorms capable of producing frequent lightning, brief heavy rain, risk of severe weather tomorrow morning. Low, but not zero. 1 or 2 storms could pack a punch, small hail. Gusty wind is the biggest threats. We'll keep that first alert weather day going. Notice how there is at least scattered rain through 8 and 9 a.m., so even the later commuters not completely rain-free, though I will say if you live north of I-20, and especially to the north and east of I-75, so Gwinnett County, Forsyth County, Hall County, into Cherokee County, Bartow County, and then on up into the mountains in northeast Georgia, Clark and Oconee counties, east Georgia, favored for rain tomorrow morning. If you're watching from LaGrange, Troup County, Meriwether County, Lamar County, Pike County, and to Upson County, the Forsyth, Georgia area back towards maybe west of Eatonton, just west of Eatonton, you all have a lesser risk of rain and thunder for the morning commute tomorrow, but still something we'll be watching. And again, now's a good time as we kind of roll through this hour-by-hour forecast. Now's a good time to make sure not only that you have a first alert to weather app tomorrow as you go about the day. It will be one of those tricky drives where if you live in Griffin, you work in Atlanta, you could very well leave with dry weather in Griffin and drive into a downpour in the city of Atlanta. Just kind of one of those scattered hit or miss downpour scenarios tomorrow morning. And now's also a good time if you're streaming maybe on the First Alert Weather app, if you already have it. YouTube, the place to get your questions answered. If you have a specific question about a specific community around the metro area, North Georgia, even beyond, again, this storm system impacting millions across the country, feel free to give me a holler monitoring that comment feed just to my left. So again, if you're just joining, we're tracking a few storms this evening, but tomorrow, a First Alert Weather day, I think storms will be a little bit more widespread than today at least, and a little bit more impactful. After that morning round of hit or miss downpours, again focusing north of I-20, north and east of I-75, we might get a little bit of a break late morning into early afternoon, right around lunchtime. With any luck, you'll get your Friday lunch in just fine. With temperatures warming quickly back into the mid to upper 70s, and especially if we clear out, we're going to warm back up, temperatures back into the 80s, and that'll set the stage for a pretty good setup to see isolated, again, very hit or miss showers and thunderstorms form once again across North Georgia and metro Atlanta. And again, case in point, we're seeing this by 4 p.m. This is just one run of one forecast model that we use here in the First Alert Weather Center. Basically just one little tool in the belt that helps us make that forecast for you. And it, along with others, so we're pretty confident in this idea that, and just meteorologically, just looking at the setup tomorrow, looking at the ingredients, what we have going on in the weather, makes sense. Probably get a little bit of a break after our morning scattered downpours roll through. Not everyone is impacted in the morning, but some will be. And then more showers and thunderstorms developing at a time in which the evening commute could be impacted. Once again, an isolated, strong, severe storm a possibility. So a couple of storms, generally low risk. If we have, hundreds of communities in North Georgia, if there's only one or two severe storms, clearly not every community is impacted. What makes it tricky, especially in tomorrow's setup, is that it's just difficult to say which exact neighborhoods, which routes home will be impacted by the stronger storms tomorrow afternoon, kind of firing up mid to late afternoon and then continuing through dinner time. Like today, the focus seems to be the west metro. So much like this evening, and we're going to go back to radar in case you're wondering, maybe if you live on the west side and you're wondering why you're hearing thunder. We'll go back to that here in just a moment. But I think the favorite area tomorrow will be the west side, will be the southwest side for the afternoon and evening round. Dallas community up into, down into, I should say, Troup County, Heard County, Haralson, over into Cleburne, Randolph counties in Alabama, Pike County, Spalding County, the Griffin area, getting over towards Newton, Walton counties, again, the southeast side eventually, but initially southwest. But do notice how some of these downpours do work their way into the city of Atlanta, 7, 8, 9 p.m., and as we lose the heat of the day, 10 p.m., almost sounds like a summer pattern, right? As we lose that heat and a little bit of that humidity, or the energy, I should say, needed to keep storms going, we're going to begin to see the rain chance dip, and we're going to drop that First Alert Weather day. But while we have storms around tomorrow, a couple storms could produce wind gusts to 60 miles an hour, hail up to, most pea, penny size, generally not big enough to cause dents, but could be a couple storms capable of producing quarter-sized hail, which is the official severe criteria, quarters. An isolated tornado risk, but very, very low. And then again, rain will be heavy under these downpours, but they're going to be moving, kind of like this evening's rain. So the risk of flooding is relatively low. And no matter where you're watching from, I know we said the west side was favored, and we're agreeing on that. But anyone tomorrow morning with round number 1, tomorrow afternoon with round number 2, everyone is in play for a strong to severe thunderstorm impacting their neighborhood. But there won't be widespread. Just a couple of neighborhoods impacted by the more strong or severe weather conditions as we get into our Friday and close out the work week. And then bigger changes on the way. Again, Sunday, kind of a different setup. Just as impactful, in fact, probably more impactful Sunday. It's a day where there are a lot of festivals. I know the Old Fourth Ward, I think the Spring Arts Festival kicking off this weekend, also 420 Fest. So a lot going on. And Sunday, many folks, I should say, will be outdoors. And it's a First Alert Weather day. Less in the way of storms. We're not concerned about severe weather Sunday. I don't think there will be much in the way of thunder and lightning, but rain will be widespread and more constant. So even though we take the storms out of the equation Sunday, the fact that rain just won't give up and those breaks are fewer and farther between, and rain is covering, tomorrow, let's say 40% of the area, but Sunday's more like 70 to 80% of folks in North Georgia, you're going to see rain, and probably for an extended amount of time. So harder to get the plans in. Sunday rain has prompted that First Alert Weather day, mainly for the outdoor plans. If you're spending the weekend inside, you're able to enjoy the inside conditions, then I guess this won't be much of a bother to you, but for everyone else getting out and about, Sunday, a day to watch. Wet weather may shift those outdoor plans indoors. That's your primary Sunday impact reason for that first alert weather day. Not much thunder, but rain will be widespread. Generally light to moderate, but of course, as it persists for several hours, we'll get puddles, could get a little bit of ponding on our typical trouble spots, roadways that are poorly drained. Keep an eye on the forecast through the weekend. Don't anticipate too many changes, but certainly could be an alteration or two. And then good news, we're back to nicer weather as we get back into the first alert forecast. Friday, a first alert weather day. Get a break Saturday. Want to drive home that point as well. Saturday is the peak day of the weekend, just an isolated shower or thunderstorm. And then Sunday, a first alert weather day, is widespread wet weather returns to the first alert forecast. And then back to cooler, breezy weather, feeling a little bit more like early spring versus our mid to upper 80s that we have this afternoon. So nearly 20 degrees cooler between this afternoon and Monday afternoon. And then the warm-up is back, but it's nice. Temperatures mid-70s, sunshine, pleasant next Tuesday, upper 70s near 80 next Wednesday. Forecast models, again, the data we look at, trending just a little bit cooler Thursday and Friday before we really warm back up heading into the following weekend. And a reminder, I actually edited that 10-day forecast before stepping into the studio this afternoon. You can get the next 10 days full extended forecast in the First Alert Weather app and at atlantanewsfirst.com. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in and for watching. Hopefully, no questions means you have the forecast, right? If you do, though, at any point have any questions, if you think of something you did not think about during this particular ANF Plus stream, you can always reach out to me on social media, X or Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Again, my name is Cutter Martin. I am a meteorologist, first alert meteorologist here at Atlanta News First. If this is your first time joining, we do at least 2 of these a day, forecast update, chatting about what's going on, and it gives us an extra moment, an extra several moments to kind of give some clarification on the forecast and really dive in deep and let you know what's going on, even away from the traditional TV screen. If you're watching us, you see us in the studio, and that's great, but this gives us a little bit more leeway with with timing and just how much we can say to kind of drive home the point of the first alert forecast. Again, do want to remind you, we're still here. We're tracking these downpours. In fact, we can jump back to that screen and kind of end on that note. Tracking these downpours on the southwest side of the metro. First alert meteorologist Patrick Pete and I have been watching them now for a couple of hours. And a reminder, we're not going anywhere. You can join First alert meteorologist Patrick Pete on Atlanta News First on Peachtree TV. That's Atlanta CW affiliate at 10 p.m. and then back on for the later newscast, WANF at 11 p.m. Storms looking a little weaker now. Nonetheless, if you're watching from far southern Haralson County near Bremen, you're hearing the thunder. Rain moving in from the southwest side. Carrollton, you had small hail, gusty winds, heavy rain earlier. Another batch of moderate to heavy rain with occasional lightning and thunder moving in. Back into Heard County as well. This is all moving into Coweta County. South Fulton, Palmetto already seeing sprinkles. Into South Douglas as well. This could make it into Fayette County, could make it into Clayton County, could make it into western Spalding County and western Henry County, and we could see additional showers and thunderstorms develop, much like just this time yesterday evening when we were saying that this evening would also feature some showers and thunderstorms, and sure enough, we are seeing that kind of play out right now. Again, we're here to keep you covered. We'll keep you updated in the First Alert Weather app at atlantanewsfirst.com. And tonight on Atlanta News First, tomorrow a First Alert Weather day. Storms may wake you up early tomorrow morning, could slow your morning commute in some areas. Storms popping back up in typical late spring fashion in the afternoon. And Sunday, also a First Alert Weather day. Widespread rain could soak your outdoor plans. We'll keep you updated.